Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: people who have stories they want to share, but have not found a question relevant to them. What are your stories? One late night coming home from an evening out, my husband, a friend of ours, and myself rounded the corner to the stairs that lead to our apartment, when we saw it. Sitting about halfway up on the stairs was an opossum, eating a sandwich. He was sitting on the stairs just like people do on his butt, with his little feet sticking out, and in his hands was an honest-to-God Subway 6-inch, still in the paper but slightly unwrapped, just like people eat it. It was like he was a tiny person in an opossum suit. There was just something so human-like about everything he was doing. We stood there for what felt like ages watching this opossum eating, and trying to figure out what to do. No way were we going to risk walking past him. We finally decided to take the long way around back to the second set of stairs, but as long as I live I'll never forget that opossum. It was such a truly surreal moment. Oh my goodness, thank you for the rewards you guys. Also for everyone asking about photos, this was around 2003, so cameras weren't in everyone's pocket at that time. Trust me, if that happened today I'd be sharing video of the funky little man and his sandwich. I probably would have stayed there to stare at him simply because I'd wanna see an opossum eat a whole sub. I really wonder where he found a full Subway sandwich. I honestly can't think of any nearby Subway places near my apartment. He looked like he was just chilling on his lunch break. I love my backpack. It's nothing fancy, just a bog standard Element rucksack, but I picked it out and it's like the only fashion brand article I own. I remember the kids in my middle school flipping out over Element gear back in the day, so it brings back fond memories. Anyway, a couple of years ago I was backpacking / road tripping across Canada. We stopped at Hope, BC, for a bite to eat before continuing on to Kelowna, where we had booked accommodatio for a couple of nights. I don't quite remember how, but when we arrived around 9 p.m. and unpacked the car, I couldn't find my backpack, bearing in mind this had everything in it: passport, house keys, iPad, Canadian currency, my favorite sweatshirt, phone charger. I figured the worst, that we had forgotten to lock the car while in the cafe / diner and someone had yoinked it, because I couldn't remember bringing it with me into the shop. I did not get a lot of sleep that night. The next day I called the diner, just in case I had forgotten it inside. The nicest girl answered the phone and said that yes, there was a backpack there. I asked could she send it out to Kelowna and just take whatever it cost out of the cash envelope in the bag. She agreed immediately to send it out that evening, and I hung up, relieved. Unfortunately, being a weekend, it didn't arrive before we were due to leave the area on a 7-day camping trip through Alberta down the Icefields Parkway. So I asked the Airbnb owner if they could send my backpack on to our next stop in Calgary, to a UPS drop-off point or whatever, and again just help themselves to some cash. She agreed, and I left on a week-long trip with no signal, camping in the Rockies. It was a great week. I almost forgot that I was missing just about everything I would have needed to get home to Europe. I remember finally understanding what Bilbo says in The Lord of the Rings: I want to see mountains again, Gandalf, mountains, and then find somewhere where I can rest. I still wish I could go back there and do it all over. Leaving Banff though, I came back down to earth with a bump. We got to Calgary for on Canada Day, so everything was closed, which meant another night of worrying, but the next day I was first in line at the UPS store to pick up my parcel. It was such a relief seeing the familiar shade of burgundy when I opened it up, and everything was there, minus about $40 in shipping costs. Whenever I look at my bag I remember how nice people can be when you just ask for help. They went out of their way to help an idiot stranger get his bag back, and I remember all the more vividly that wonderful trip through an amazing country. I really thought the ending of the story was going to be and it wasn't my backpack, but I just had it shipped twice across the country, and a bunch of cash taken from it, so I figured might as well keep it. Back in high school I worked as kennel help at a veterinarian office. One day we ran out of sink cleaner and some various products necessary for work. He sent me to Walmart to stock us up. I loaded about 10 or 15 cans of Comet and a few jugs of Clorox in the buggy and was headed over to get something on the other side of the store. As I rounded a corner I almost collided with another lady's buggy. She looked down and all but screamed, "Is there a sale on Comet? Oh my god," and took off running with her buggy towards the cleaning aisle. I tried very hard to catch her and tell her it was for work, but she was absolutely determined to grab the rest of the Comet. If you were accidentally scammed by a teenager into buying a fuck ton of Comet in 1984 or so, please know I tried to stop you. I hope someday I see the post about how I was scammed into buying a fuck ton of Comet in 1984 by a teenager in Walmart. And someone who said how I was working in Walmart cashier and got these two crazy people who bought fuck ton of Comet in 1984. I haven't told this story in a while, but Uber Eats scammed me out of 2 Kelvin plus and ruined my 20th birthday Mayo. It was pretty much my first birthday where I was on my own and didn't celebrate with my family at all, since I was a 5-hour drive away at college. It also fell on a Tuesday, so I wasn't able to do anything with friends either. The plan was to grab dinner at an Indian place that Friday to celebrate. I got out of class early, and my only celebration was to order some hop through the Uber Eats app. It was like my 3rd time using it. Anyway, I got some chicken tenders for $16, then took a 5-hour nap. Real exciting. I woke up at around 8 p.m, after all the food places on campus closed. So I figured, fuck it, it's my birthday. Let's order out twice. So I tried to get some chicken nuggets from McDonald's delivered. I press confirm order, the page loads and I get an error. Okay, strange, let's try again. Another error. One more. I Google the error code, and see that it pops up whenever a card gets declined. That can't be right. The meal costs like $13, and at this time, I have about $1,000 on my bank account. For anyone who has a student wallet through PNC, you know that it's basically 3 accounts in one. You have a checking account and 2 savings accounts that are all linked to each other. As a broke college student, this was quite literally all I had to survive on. So I check my bank, every account was cleared out. $0 across the board. I had over 30 different pending transactions, all from Uber Eats. They ranged from 99 cents to $104, going until every account was emptied. I was sitting at about -$600 by the time I checked. So obviously, I'm freaking TF out. My bank was closed, so I couldn't call them. I hit the Uber Eats customer service. They ask me to list every transaction, which I do. They confirm the transactions came from them. Then, the agent tells me that these are just temporary holds that they always do, and the money won't actually leave my account. Okay, but over 30 transactions. I spend hours trying to figure out what exactly went wrong in their system, and each agent keeps giving me the same copy and pasted response. The charges won't post to your account, just wait. The thing is, with debit cards, they treat pending transactions as if the money is already off your card, so I couldn't use my money at all. I was helpless. The next morning, I called my bank as soon as they opened. My card was cancelled, and they had to dispute each charge. There were so many of them that they couldn't all fit under one report, and had to be split into 3. Usually when you dispute a transaction, the bank gives you a provisional credit, which is a temporary refund of your money. They could only provisionally refund me on one case report, which still left me at about -$150. I would have to wait the 2 months until the investigation ended until I would get the rest of my money back. Oh, and guess what? The money did leave my account. Not only that, but I was hit for 10 overdraft fees for $35 each for all the ones that bounced. And when I went back to Uber Eats about this, they kept repeating the same message that the transactions wouldn't post. They already posted. That entire week was a mess. I was stranded at college with literally no money. My family struggles enough, and my mom had to skip a few bills to send me cash through MayGram. I couldn't have money come through my bank account because it would eaten from all the fees I had accrued. I even cancelled the get-together that Friday, though we were able to go in the end. Happy birthday to me. Fuck Uber Eats. What a nightmare. I'm so sorry. If I lived in your city I would bring you a curry. And I'd eat one too. That's so kind. Eating my chicken tikka that Friday definitely felt like a well-deserved victory. I had a similar situation with my bank and PayPal. I moved out of the US and was trying to transfer my $700 PayPal balance to one linked to my new bank. The transaction kept declining over and over, and said to wait 5 days or whatever. Long story short, I missed the tiny print that said PayPal transactions from one account to another could only be done at a max of $500 at a time, and anything above that would instead try to take it from my linked debit account, which I had already emptied. So I just ended up doing it in 2 separate transactions. However, every time they attempted to grab the $700 from my debit card, my bank processed a $5 failed transaction fee, which ended up putting me in overdraft and charging me daily for it. By the time I found out, I think I was at like $245. While living in a country where my monthly salary was about $400. I contacted my bank, and their response was, "We understand these are hard times, and we can split the payment into 12 monthly payments and we will void the first one as a courtesy." And my reply was, "Nope, not paying a cent. That's a made-up debt I never used. Literally just a number entered into your computer. As far as I'm concerned, I owe you nothing." I never contacted them again, logged into my account or acknowledged any of their emails. I can only imagine how high that debt got. My mom, living in Texas, got calls at home. She just said I didn't live there anymore and was sent overseas. This was in the mid-2000s, so they probably assumed I was in Iraq and likely died or something. It's been 15 years and the bank was bought out by Chase. So I assume my account is cleared now. I remember when they started doing the dumb overdraft protection. I specifically told my bank that I didn't want it. If I don't have the money in my account, then I don't want it to process. Somehow my account went in the negative by a couple of dollars. I didn't notice because at the time I was a server and I would pay all of my bills in cash. They waited 30 days to tell me that I was in the negative and they had been charging me about $8 a day as a fee. I just walked away and never paid them, which ended up putting me in overdraft and charging me daily for it. As someone who lives in a place where this would be highly illegal, on top of immoral, how do you guys keep tolerating this? **T